Calvin believes the doctrine of irresistible grace. The grace of God will keep chasing a person. God intended them to be saved, and they cannot resist it. And there is the preservation of the saints, to which some took it to the extreme and do whatever they like. What does Paul have to say about this once saved, always saved kind of thought?
In the Pauline studies, it is accepted that one of the tendencies within the church that Paul was battling against was libertinism. That means I'm saved, so I don't need to worry about anything now. I personally don't think Calvin intended that way. I think Calvin is one of the finest theologians. I really like reading Calvin, some of his works. I'm not an expert in Calvin's theology, but I really appreciate Calvin's insights, especially his understanding of the Spirit and other things. Beautiful it is. So I don't think Calvin went to that extent, but later on in some ways, sometimes you hear people stretching that little too much, that, once saved, saved forever, and irresistible grace. I think that is not right. Because in Philippians chapter 2, he says, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Now, what does it mean? It means that they have certain responsibility to fulfill. And if they don't do that, there is a danger of losing it. And I think irresistible grace is a wrong expression for me, to my understanding. Those who disagree can continue to disagree. I would say irresistible grace is a mistaken expression. It creates misunderstanding. Grace is always available to us, no doubt. But when grace is available to us, we have the responsibility to live up to that standard. If we do not do that, we lose it. That is where Paul is telling to Timothy in chapter 1 Timothy 4 that, if you practice these things, you will not only save yourself but also your hearers. That means if you fail in doing something, you are under the threat of losing out something very important. That's your salvation. So, of course, it does not mean that by our works we are saved. No. But we have the responsibility of living up to a standard. So once saved, saved forever. I personally do not endorse that position. I believe that I am saved once and for all. Okay? But I am expected to live up to that standard, because God has shown this grace to me by paying a huge cost, and He requires me to value it. And I do as a... Now, can I do it by myself? No, I cannot do it. That is where God is giving me the Holy Spirit, to whom, if I am sensitive, I am listening to His voice, His whispering voice within myself, I am able to live daily and be Christ-like. The mind of Christ would be formed within me. And thereby, I am getting into that track, that position, to live like Christ and fulfill that purpose of God in my life. That is what Paul says. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, quickly just, it's coming into my mind. Paul says, I think verse 12, Paul says that it's my goal, my ambition to please Him. To please Him. And how did He please? Obedience of faith. He obeyed God on the basis of the call that he had in his life. Perfectly obeyed that. And thereby he was fulfilling that part. So, irresistible grace, many would disagree with me, but I would say no, at least to my understanding, New Testament does not say that. We have responsibility to work towards that. We will lose it if we do not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Paul doesn't have to say that I have fought a good fight.
Yes.
That's all.
We have responsibility to work towards our salvation.
Yes.
Even though it's not our works, it's by grace.
Yes.
And once saved is not saved forever. We have to practice obedience to Christ. That's what you're saying.
And the Holy Spirit enables you to do that.
And the Holy Spirit enables you to do that.